Disclaimer: the following program features language not suitable for all audiences, and the expressed opinions found within this program are a reflection of those who feature on the PopCulture Effect podcast. Welcome to the PopCulture Effect. I'm Rockin Rob, and on this show, I bring my closest friends together to talk about all the news happening in our pop culture world around us. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of our Random Ramblings. I'm joined by my lovely friends. We've got Gemini.
When the was this called? Random Ramblings?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I try things, okay? I try things in the intro, okay? Not like, okay, a good portion of them don't work, but there's a couple of them that were... Anyways, we've also got Menace.
Hello.
And we've somehow got Subset here as well.
Heyo.
Somehow he's here every episode too.
Nah, you're right. I'm the one that friggin' fades in and out every once in a while. This week, I've got a few certain things I want to interject here. First is a little bit more of a longer segment, as Adult Swim just released their new show, Common Side Effects. Now, this animated show is really cool, as it's got a really interesting art style and a really cool story, as we finally get a animated show about Big Pharma. Now, this show stars Marshall Cuso, as he is somewhat of a philanthropist, and he is somebody who was searching all across the world for the right type of mushroom, as he heard legends of a cure-all fungus. Now he eventually finds this fungus, and he realizes it can actually reverse any type of illness, including death. Now obviously Big Pharma gets a whiff of this, and they try to hunt him down and kill him. However, he meets his old high school friend, Francis, who is an employee of Rutical Pharmaceutical, which is the main company that is going after him for the mushroom debacle. However, he is not privy to this. He just sees Francis as a person he's able to meet with after so long. And honestly, he sees her as a person that he can finally share his findings to in a way where he won't, get caught. But this show is really cool. It's got a cool concept. All in all, I think it is going to tell a lot of cool stories and show a lot of cool psychedelic, vibrant imagery, and I really am looking forward to see where this goes. I know the last time I stuck my head into a show for 2 episodes was Daima, and that one has been hit or miss when it comes to the fan base's reaction to it. But honestly, I think we could all come together and say, Big Pharma is bad, and we should not be placating a cure when we can actually find the cure. Now, as of right now, there's only the first batch of episodes, so I'm really curious to see where they go with the story, how long it's going to be, if they get renewed for a season 2 or whatever. But genuinely, this is a really cool show to dive into if you are one that loves conspiracy theories and loves the Big Pharma in the background just running the world by treating symptoms rather than curing the cause. Yeah, I think the way they showcase Marshall in this show is great, as usually when we get these types of characters, they're the crazy witch doctors who nobody believes because he's literally insane. But that's the thing about this, is that he isn't insane. He's the one telling the truth, and everybody else is trying to silence him, which made for a really cool scene, as when Francis and Marshall met at a coffee shop. We could see everybody was in on it. Every single person was looking at Marshall, and we all know that everybody's in on it. I honestly just hope that this show just doesn't turn into, escape the person, go to this place. Escape the next person, go to a place. Escape the next person. I hope there's actual story building and actual progression. I know, at least from the antagonistic side of things, it's going to be kind of fun because you get the typical bumbling idiots in Agent Harrington and Agent Cabano, as they are the quote-unquote elite team that really just isn't all that elite, but they're pretty funny, so I enjoy them just as much as I'm enjoying the interconnectivity of Francis and Marshall's characters. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. It's still very early in its infancy, so we'll see where the story goes. I might return for a season wrap-up once they fully finish it up. But now I think it's time for me to send it back to me and my friends as we discuss the Bloodborne mod DMCA. But speaking of fading in and out, one thing that we haven't gotten a chance to talk about for a while is video games. There has been quite a lot going on So I'm going to get us started by talking about something that I don't necessarily have a lot of background in, but I know there's somebody in this lobby, and I know but I know there is somebody in this chat that knows a lot more than me, but because I'm going to talk. Shut up. I restarted it so I could edit it out, but now you addressed it, so now I have to keep it in. You bastard. Anyways, I'm going to be discussing it's wonderful because another company is stopping their fans from making cool mods because Bloodborne has sent a DMCA.
They're not stopping them.
They sent a DMCA to this modder for a 60 frames per second mod for Bloodborne, and now he can't distribute it anymore. He can't distribute it anymore. I can't distribute brains out of my mouth. Words. Jesus Christ.
See, with these, I can understand because you're not adding, besides frame rate, you're not adding anything to the game. You're essentially just shipping out people free versions of the game at a higher quality. I can understand why a company's coming after you for,
But is it a free version of the game, or is it just like a mod that you would
it's a whole new version of the game that is able to run in 60 FPS. It's a mod for the game.
My argument is, if they're not going to do anything with the Bloodborne IP, which this DMCA may lead them to actually eventually using it, but if they're not going to do it...
Well, here's the thing, though.
They already are.
They haven't done anything with it in forever.
It only came out, they've had other games. Bummer, you do realize Bloodborne is the PlayStation equivalent to Dark Souls. It is the same people that made Dark Souls, Sekiro, Elden Ring, all those other games that have been coming out in the past year.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Bloodborne...
No, Robbie, here's the thing.
Let us finish. In Night Rain, their newest one, they are adding aspects of Bloodborne, Sekiro, all their Soulsborne titles are coming together in that. They're adding bosses from Bloodborne. They're adding weapons from Bloodborne. You're having Sekiro movement mechanics.
I'm saying with how popular Bloodborne Bloodborne's
actually of the FromSoft games next to, I'd say, and I don't know all of them, but I would say in popularity, Bloodborne's actually on the lower scale, kind of on a similar level of Armored Core. And I feel like since the most recent game, Armored Core even kind of went above Bloodborne in popularity. Don't get me wrong, those who are familiar with the titles of the Soulsborne series, they know of it, and it's they enjoy it. I have played maybe... Exclusive? Yeah, I myself have maybe only played 20 minutes of it, but yeah, because it's an exclusive, it's not as popular as Dark Souls and Elden Ring, just due to the fact it's console locked.
See, I was looking at shit with ratings of 4.3 out of 5 and 93% reviews. That's what I was looking at.
Are you looking at consumer ratings, or are you looking at company ratings?
Well, and that's also the thing, Robbie. Overall. Those who have played it.
Yeah, IGN and companies like that of their ratings.
I'm kind of just looking over. But I guess a lot of these 5-star reviews are just from PlayStation, like you said. It's literally console locked.
You can't go by company reviews because
they're paid off.
Company, essentially they're paid off.
I just think in 10 years, they haven't made a PC port, they haven't made a remaster, and somebody tries to make something to make the game better.
Here's the thing, though. In a legal sense, though, they have every right to do this. Yeah, they may not be doing much with it right now, but you have to think about the fact that FromSoft also... It's not the smallest company, but I wouldn't consider it one of the largest
they're doing
behemoths.
Nothing with it. They're still using
they're still using assets from it. They're still using a lot of things from it. I mean, for God's sakes, even though I think it originated from Demon Souls, which that one's also kind of low on the popularity scale. But there's a lot of assets and things that they're still utilizing from it, even if maybe it's gotten a bit of a polish to it. And for all we know,
Bloodborne is the fourth game in the Soulsborne series, and it is the first one to introduce essentially a sanity system, to where in Bloodborne, the lesser your sanity, the more monsters you would start seeing around the world, and that has been implemented in every Soulsborne game since then.
Exactly. So, like, on one hand, I get the frustration behind it, don't get me wrong, but From Software has every right to do this because they are still utilizing a lot of assets, a lot of lore inspirations, and general overall usage of Bloodborne, even if we have not seen either a remastered edition, a remake edition, or even, like, ports. And you also have to think, how long was Demon's Souls out before they even thought of doing a remaster?
Does not want to do remakes or remasters. They are always pushing to the next thing.
That too wasn't actually. I take that back. Wasn't that a different company that did the Demon's Souls, and FromSoft was like, yeah, sure, go for it.
I'm not sure. But like you said before, it still took them a very long time to even consider a Demon's Souls remake.
Exactly. So like, I think Bloodborne has a lot of limitations to it just due to the fact it is a PlayStation only thing, which Demon's Souls kind of also does fall into that category. Demon's Souls was also a PlayStation 3 exclusive, and I don't think it was ever ported to the PlayStation 4. Maybe, I'm not 100% sure. It was for the
PlayStation 5. It came out in November 19th.
Yes, well, that's what I was about to say. There's a Demon's Souls remake that was then made not too long for kind of like a PS5 like launch title almost. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, they haven't done much with Bloodborne since its release. Well, and actually, no. Hold on, backtrack. They have done a few things. They released a legitimate comic about Bloodborne not too long ago. Give it take a year or two. So like, it's not necessarily that they're sleeping on Bloodborne. I mean, to a little bit, yes, but it's not an abandoned title. It's not like these old games from like the late 90s, early 2000s that are considered abandonware. It's still like a title they have a hold of. And I understand the frustration for this modder and the individuals who would like to play this game at a higher frame rate and everything. But for all we know, FromSoft could be cooking something up that this mod would cause some form of issues.
Maybe they're working on a remake right now, and that's why they don't want a 60 FPS mod out there.
Exactly, because if they do that, because here's the thing, Robbie, if they allow this to happen, and then they do come out with, say, a patch of some kind, a full-on port, or even just a remaster, which is the one where they kind of give it a little bit of a gloss.
Yeah. Remaster,
a remaster edition, whatever. You know, that's going to then hurt their sales and hurt the performance of the game, which means then if that happens, Bloodborne's cooked in a bad way.
No, I hear you on that. I guess my thing is, like, I'm more upset that this game is still, like, console locked. Like,
it's not people that are upset about that.
Even now, like, older COD titles that were console locked until they released them as of recently were still console locked. It's probably not going to be until like we're speculating here.
Well,
a Bloodborne remake comes out where it'll be on everything, just like with Elden Ring. Because this kind of goes back into what I was gonna say before. Is that one last thing is that there are still lore implications in the new DLC for Elden Ring that tie back to Bloodborne.
But the one thing that I think nobody's acknowledging is the fact that Sony owns about 10% stake in Kodakawa, which is From Software's parent company, and Sony has been actively trying to buy.
But if that was the case, though, Bobber, wouldn't Elden Ring have been console exclusive? Wouldn't this new standalone title be console exclusive?
It's more than likely because they like own 10%. They probably just wanted like one or two games that would be something that they could exclusively market.
Well, that happened December of last year, so that was pretty recent.
I know, but at this point, besides their name titles, specifically for Sony, besides their name titles like Spider-Man, God of War, Zero Horizon, or Horizon Zero Dawn, and some other ones I can't really remember. Those name titles aren't going to be like the only exclusives because companies that already do deals with like FromSoft and people that already have started doing deals with multiple companies that have their stuff all cross-platform, they're not going to shut that down now. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, well Sony owns 10%, so we're going to back out of all this extra money we're going to make from PC and Xbox and just place it on Sony's console.
Well, I think that's the thing, is like Xbox has gotten a lot more liberal with giving out their console exclusives, like with Forza Horizon 5, but Sony is... and
we're
Nintendo.
Not talking about that, Bobbert.
No, what I'm saying is that Sony is still being very guarded with their exclusives.
Yes, but FromSoft games aren't exclusives.
It's just two titles that are. Out of their sea of titles, only two of them are.
Not even anymore, because Demon's Souls isn't an exclusive anymore.
I thought it was still a PlayStation exclusive.
No, it's PC now, at least.
I guess
it's since when? Hold on a minute.
I guess I was jumping to the conclusions because with Sony owning like 14% of From Software itself and then the 10% stake in Kadokawa, I was always assuming that they were just gonna bring all future...
Oh, okay.
So they have 2 games that are,
PlayStation
exclusives, which honestly, it sucks, but it's just sometimes how it happens,
Because it's how they sell consoles. Console exclusivity is how they sell more consoles. It's so stupid, it's so archaic, but that's how they do it.
It's not necessarily that, it's just a business model, and it works.
Yeah, and it's
don't fix what isn't broken.
I don't think that it's archaic. I think that consoles should have those specific titles. Honestly, I feel like Halo should still be an Xbox exclusive, but that's just me.
Exactly.
I think that should have 1 or 2 ones that are tied specifically to their brands.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having exclusives, because if you want to keep having loyal customers, you need to have things that they'll enjoy. And sometimes console exclusives is how they do that for the video game world. Bobber, it's not necessarily archaic. It's just how it works.
I'm gonna give you your own double standard right here, right? You like Mario and Sonic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were specifically made as branding opportunities for Nintendo and Sega.
Yeah.
So you can't
guess what?
say
You can't
have double standard. You can't say that.
No, it's no double standard, because if Nintendo announced after the
Nintendo
Switch 2,
they've done that already.
Listen. If Nintendo announced after the Nintendo Switch 2 that they were switching to just game development and developing games for all platforms, I would be totally happy for that.
Nah, they never would.
You can't.
They won't. They never will.
Nintendo can't do that because 1, they're focused on more of a mobile variety of game, which doesn't just the specs won't work on a console style of gaming, and 2, the way that stuff is made on Switch engines wouldn't work. It took Warframe, for example. I know you've gotten into Warframe a lot recently. Warframe, it took them 6 years. And it took the team, the creative director, the person who voices Lotus, it took her going over, I think she said 260 different mobile games just to figure out a template, what they wanted to make Warframe for mobile and Switch.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not difficult to develop
I know.
Switch games for other consoles. I'm just saying that with, me personally, with how infrequent Nintendo releases consoles, it might just be a better financial decision
for most Nintendo games. It may be not that it's even hard. It may just be an impossibility for those things to be able to port onto other consoles.
No,
because of how Nintendo is with
motion controls, with the Joy-Cons.
Some stuff like that too, obviously.
Emulate that, but yeah.
That you can, but it's just I don't know. Depending on the engine, some things just aren't compatible with other devices.
Yeah, no, I hear that part, but man, I don't know.
Oh.
I just feel set. Going back to the Bloodborne thing, I just wanted to say.
Yeah, so going back to that, so the reason that Demon Souls is an exclusive is because the IP is owned by Sony. So that's why Demon Souls is an exclusive.
It's probably the same thing with Bloodborne.
And yes, for Bloodborne, Japan Studio, a subsidiary of Sony, approached From Software concerning a cooperative development on a title, and Hidetaka Miyazaki asked about the possibility of developing a game for 8th generation consoles, which was the PS4. Thus, that's why then Bloodborne is considered an exclusive title, because of the fact Sony pretty much approached From Software and was like, hey, why don't we do a cooperative title why don't we do a cooperative game for the new generation of console that's coming out? And so they were like, yeah, sure. Because this was also ran parallel to Dark Souls 2 when it was being developed, apparently. So I guess they were pretty neck and neck, which is shocking because Dark Souls 2 is at best. But which on one hand kind of shows that they definitely put a lot more work into Bloodborne, probably because there was a lot more riding on it, which is fine. That completely makes sense. But that's why it is an exclusive title. Because of that, I legitimately do not see Bloodborne ever not being an exclusive title, which again, completely fine. It sucks because that means if they do either some form of a re-rendition of Bloodborne and or God forbid, hopefully a sequel, that one I highly doubt, but you never know.
The way that
it would probably be on
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it would probably be on the the PlayStation still, which, whatever, you know? That's just the shitty thing about it. It happens. That's just the world, but as you were saying...
Going with the sequel, I feel like, I don't know, out of all the Soulsborne games, I feel like Bloodborne had the most, like, there wasn't really like a what happens next, is my character still alive? You kind of just, you finished your job and you were done.
Yeah, because like, and that's the thing, like the ending, I think there were 2 endings, technically 3. I never finished Bloodborne, but like I know someone who that's his favorite game of the Souls series, Soulsborne, of the FromSoft titles that are popular. That is his favorite. And I know there's like, I think at least 2, maybe 3 if I'm getting it incorrect or correct, but yeah, it's basically like either you f*** up, kiddo, and you're dead. You become spoilers for Bloodborne, God forbid if you haven't played it or at the very least know of the basic plot. You know, you basically either you f*** up, you're dead, kid. I think you just win essentially, or you win, but you also either you win or you become a big old grub thing. Like, there's no open-ended story with it. And technically,
you win, you become God. You win, you become the king of the leader of the hunters, or you lose and die.
Yeah, essentially. And like with Bloodborne setting, I really don't see an expansion towards that, because that was the whole point, was to deal with the hunter's dream and everything. Now, what are you gonna do? Hunter's Dream 2, Electric Boogaloo?
With the addition of Elden Ring, if Elden Ring is supposed to be this like prequel, your ending depicts which world you go into, the big theory that's surrounding Elden Ring. If that's the case, and that is proven to be true, which Night Rain is leading more towards that being the case, it could be the fact of that, like, we could see the beginning of the Hunters as like a pre-sequel.
Maybe, but I legitimately don't.
I would like to see one where instead of playing as your like playable character, you actually got to see how one of these worlds ended up like this. Like, you got to play as what's his name, the leader of the hunters when you get there.
Gehrman?
Yeah, like you play as Gehrman and you lead the hunters in the battles.
And you see, that's the thing. I think that could work, because I mean, in Sekiro, you played as a predetermined character. The wolf or whatever his name was supposed to be. I didn't play Sekiro, but you know, it's not like they haven't done that before, where you don't create a character and you have a predetermined character and like everything that is a pre-made character essentially.
But anyway, we're getting far too into the different games. But
basically,
I do
boiling it down.
I do agree with you, Robert, that it is trash that companies are still going after modders when all they're trying to do is make the games that they're playing better.
Cough, Nintendo. Sorry.
Well, Nintendo is just all over its IPs all the time.
Yeah.
But the main thing in this case is like, it is trash, but in this case, I do see why it is right.
Like the silver lining, Sorry, I'll let you finish, sorry.
Strictly because it's not doing anything transformative to the game. It's not, besides increasing frame rate, does it do anything else? Does the mod do anything else?
No.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily do anything. Now, like, they haven't done, they leave, because I'm pretty sure there is a randomizer mod for Bloodborne, I think.
Oh, like a roguelike kind of mod?
Hold on.
I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah, so there is a Bloodborne randomizer, and they haven't done anything against that, which means so long as it's like, as he stated, transformative, they're not going to smack modders too hard. It's just, this is something where it's essentially a form of pirating the game in a better quality, and I understand that a company doesn't want that to get circulated.
See, I think the silver lining here and all this, just so that way, because this is all I really have left to talk about on it, is maybe, since this mod is a pretty old mod, and it was just recently that it was DMCA'd, maybe this means they're gonna actually do something with the IP, like you said at the top of this segment.
Yeah, if that's the case, because I didn't know that. If this mod's been out for a while and they're just cracking down on it now, it's more than likely the case that they're trying to either come out with a patch or working on a remake, something of the case of they're trying to do something with Bloodborne and they don't want anything else out there that's gonna be exactly like what they're doing.
Which, again, makes sense.
Yeah, but that's all I got on it.
Because didn't Bethesda do something with like Skyrim mods when they were remaking the game or something like that too?
I thought they were totally cool with mods.
No, like
at first, yeah. No, they are.
They've always been okay, but like when it comes to like when they're doing a remake where they're upping the frame rate or the fidelity of stuff, they will take down like fidelity.
It's not necessarily
and frame
that they
rate.
take down mods. It's just so Bethesda, because I've been getting back into Skyrim and modding the shit out of it. It's painful, by the way. Yeah, no, it's not necessarily that like.
Figured this would be
it's not necessarily
side topic for it since they're more open with their mods than other companies.
Oh yeah, they're one of the most open. Like it's one of the most modded games next to I think The Sims and Minecraft. But it's not necessarily that they take them down. It's more they don't. You notice that they don't really tend to care. Because like they are open and embrace modding, but at the same time they also don't give two flying shits if what they update just completely shatters everything, which happens. And at that point also you cannot blame the company too unless their update just completely cracks the game, like completely vanilla. Like at that point I get it, but like when it comes to modding and they put an update out, whether it's something that's so small or it's a big one, it's not the company's fault that your game breaks and is unplayable, because at that point then it's kind of your fault. When
you have 1,000 mods installed and then they do an upgrade to the frame rate and your frame rate mod is what it's kind of on you.
That's on you. Like I know a lot of people get pissed at companies for it. Like no, don't get mad at them. You're dumb and you're too stupid to, either the modder's fault for not being up top with it, which again, if they are busy and that modding is their side gig, again, don't get mad at them, get mad at yourself for still using it. If you can't play without it, well then boo-hoo. I get it. I play The Sims modded and sometimes I cry when I see a big update. I get it, but it's still your fault.
Or just wait for an update for your mod. They'll come around.
Yeah,
eventually.
and that's the thing. And don't blame the modder, because 9 chances out of 10 they got their people. They're people. 2, they got their own lives. Most modders don't do this for a living. It's like a side thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying blame the modder. Wait for the modder to update their mod. It will be out.
Be patient, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sorry, died there for a second. I'm back alive. Yeah, that's I think that's all I have to discuss on it, because at this point we're gonna just be going around in circles. But yeah, I do at least appreciate that this was something that you guys could provide more context to, because I know nothing about these types of games.
I know the words. Sorry. I know that it sucks when companies come after mods, but it all depends on the context, really, for what's happening. Yeah. Like with the last thing you said, if it's been out for a long time and now they're doing something, there's probably a good reason behind them actually coming after this.
Yeah, either they're doing it's essentially something that would endanger either their stocks, which it's a shitty thing to think about it that way, but you have to think they have to make money, and if something is going to conflict with that, of course they're going to have to deal with it, or it's going to cause problems with the game's lifespan.
One thing that did just pop into my head is you do also need to think of chain of command. This could not be FromSoft. This could be Sony being like, hey, they're modding the game in ways that we don't like. You need to crack this.
Yeah, it could be FromSoft is just probably got a letter from Sony hey, there's some shady shit going on that we just found out about. Deal with it. And they're like, do we have to? And they're like, who pays your checks? And they're like, okay, fair enough.
Sir, yes, sir.
You are correct. It all matters about context and who's involved and what's actually happening. We won't ever know because we don't.
Even without context, it is sad to see, because I've seen a lot of mods that I've had for Skyrim or Fallout that are just gone off the face of the earth one day when I load up, and I'm like, oh well, I was actually having a real fun time with that one. Okay.
Sometimes that doesn't always happen because of legal issues. Sometimes either it ends up finding out that they violated some form of the sites.
Yeah.
Things, or maybe the modder just decided to, because sometimes people go through a moment where they're like, you know what, it, and they just delete everything. It happens, and it's sad when that's the reason. Because it's at the very least, you just could have forgot your account and then went off and did something else, or passed the torch to another person.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's also a reason why for mods will just randomly disappear.
Now, before we end this week's episode, I felt like there was at least one other thing I wanted to discuss, and that's the fact that Final Destination is returning as a franchise as we are getting Bloodlines. Now, this movie is set to release on May 16th of this year, and the people directing this movie will be Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein. And from what we get from the teaser, not a lot of the actual story of the movie is being shown off, as we just get the regular death scene where the Wind is back, everybody. The main villain of the Final Destination franchise, the Wind, trademark, is back. And I think the way they do this scene is really cool, as we get a tattoo parlor artist basically fish hooking himself, but that combined with a ceiling fan, a bottle of alcohol, and a couple sparks, you can pretty much guess what is going to happen. Yeah, I'm really eager to see what kind of story they take with it, as with how the franchise went. The last 5th entry kind of Ouroboros the series, as it came back around to the front end, and it kind of acted as a prequel sequel to the entire franchise. For me, it'll be interesting to see where they take it from a story perspective, but we all know what's going to happen. There's going to be a giant spectacle, followed by about 5 or 6 even more disturbing scenes where we're just gonna see the most jaw-dropping, gory shit possible. I'm really hyped for it because I love the Final Destination franchise, but I just hope we see some new stuff, you know? We've seen 5 movies of this, so hopefully they can keep things fresh and keep things new and give new twists to death. The thing I'm just super curious about is where they're going to take the story, or if this is going to take place in the future beyond 4. It's kind of unknown, as, yeah, this is pretty much all we have so far, but you can definitely guess I'll be back when this movie comes out, because, my god, I love this franchise. I think I might actually binge it now that I think about it. Anyways, that's a more shorter topic on Final Destination Bloodlines, as there is not a lot to discuss. Nothing from the story has been revealed, none of the cast has been revealed, just a release date, and the fact that we are getting the goriest of kills back on our screens. But that's pretty much everything I have to discuss for Final Destination Bloodlines. And now I think it's time for me to send it back to me and my friends as we end this week's episode. I mean, it's been a lovely time. I really hope my mic's not shit, because from what my friends told me, it might be shit. So we're gonna see in the recording. But yeah, it's been a lovely time to spend with all my friends. Thank you so much, Gemini.
A pleasure as always.
Thank you so much, Subset.
Hey-yo!
And thank you so much, Menace.
Oh yeah, always fun.
And we will all see you in the next one. Farewell.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey-yo! I did nothing.
I'm gonna punch him.
No, don't punch me. I'm totally adorable and unneeding violence. Wow.
Sounds
so
like
rude.
Very punchable person.
That's so mean. I'm like the least punchable person you guys know, right?
Most punchable person.
Damn.
I'm the least punchable. That's a lie.
I mean, yeah, I think you out of everybody.
And then there's Subset who's silent.
Yeah, because he's just a little bitch.
Because it depends on who you're talking to. Jaina, he's probably one of the most punchable. You guys, probably not.
All right, so oh god, I just died. Jesus Christ. That stays in. No, but if everybody's ready, I'm good to just start us up. I'll go first. 'Cause I'm big man. I don't know what happens to me every time we jump into a recording. I just lose all senses
Hey,
of.
big man, instead of rambling, how about you start the f***ing episode?
I mean, fair point.